Think success at an actuarial career fair is all about showing up and handing out resumes? Well, think again, because what you do before, during, and after a career fair can make or break your chances of actually getting a job from that career fair. So stick around for my strategy on how you can be successful at any actuarial career you go to this year. Okay, let's talk about before the career fair. One of the first things you have to do is to create a Dream 10 list. Now, a Dream 10 list, if you haven't heard of that before, is basically a list of 10 companies that you really want to work for. These are companies that fit your geographical location, companies that you've done the research for, that you know you want to work for. Maybe you've even talked to some people there and you've learned more about the culture of the company and what they really stand for, what it's like to work there, all that sort of stuff. Maybe you know other people that have got actuarial jobs at these places. You want to have this list because that is what is going to strongly guide you through your actuarial career fair and also all the networking you do throughout your actuarial journey, really. So in order to create a Dream 10 list, you need to go to different company websites that you think you might be interested in. And if you don't know what those companies might be, well, there is an actuarial map of employers that I will link down below in the description, so you can go check that out. But another good starting point would be to go research the companies that are actually going to be at the career fair that you are attending. So for example, ASNA is coming up later this weekend actually, and there's a list of all the different sponsors that are going to be at that career fair right on the website. So you can easily go to every single one of those websites and just learn a bit more about the company, try to determine if it's a place you think you'd like to work. And if you do think that, add it to your Dream 10 list. Now you need to narrow it down to just 10 companies because that allows you to put in the time and effort towards specifically those 10 companies amongst all the other companies that are going to be there. Like for example, it looks like there's about 40 sponsors for ASNA. And yes, that is one of the biggest career fairs, but you're not going to be able to give each of those companies the same amount of attention and effort. So you need to know which ones are most important for you. And that's where your Dream 10 list comes in. Those are going to be the companies you put as much energy as possible into, and the other ones you're still going to, of course, try to talk with people at those companies, but you're not going to have as much time for those. They're not your priority. Once you've come up with your Dream 10 list, you need to start on your resume. You need to have an excellent resume. As I've said before, a resume can make or break your career. You are going to be going up to recruiters and giving them your resume and probably talking to them, but many of them are going to reference your resume afterwards, and that might be really the only way that they remember you. Maybe they forget the conversation. Maybe you don't even get a chance to talk to every single one of them. You just got a chance to hand your resume and that's all they know of you. So your resume really has to thoroughly demonstrate all the qualifications you have. Make sure you have that career profile. Make sure you are explicitly talking about the things that are going to make you a better candidate for an actuarial role, and get rid of anything on your resume that is not going to help. You want the most important things on that resume, so no matter what the employer looks at, it is helping to improve your qualifications in their eyes. If you need help creating an amazing resume, check out the Actuary Accelerator Community because we do have a resume master course in there, and I do also offer one-on-one resume critique sessions if that's something you want to arrange. You can just send me an email to support@etchedactuarial.com. I'll put that on the screen here too, and you can set that up with me. Okay, so yes, there's a lot to do before a career fair, and I still have a few other things too, but I will get to what to do during a career fair in just a few minutes. But these next two things are absolutely crucial. Wait, am I preparing for a career fair here or planning a presidential election campaign? The first one is that you have to practice your elevator pitch. That's what it's commonly called, but basically your introduction to the employers and company reps that you're going to be talking to, actuaries that you might be talking to. You have to know what you are going to say in about 30 seconds because you're not going to have tons of time to explain everything, all your qualifications to an employer. That's on your resume too. But when you introduce yourself, you do want to make sure that you have confidence. You want to make sure that you are fitting in the things that you really want them to know. And usually for most people, that will take some practice. It means recording yourself, saying it out loud over and over again. You don't want to sound robotic, but you do want to make sure that you are fitting in the important details. And I do highly recommend recording yourself, because that's going to allow you to look back at yourself and see, okay, did I stutter? Did I get everything in that I wanted to? And it's sometimes hard to do that and make sure you did all those things if you don't have a recording of yourself actually saying it. Now, Ken from the CIA was actually generous enough to record a short clip here that I'm going to put in next, where he tells us what employers are really looking for. And these are things that you want to include in your introduction. Here it is.
When you're at a career fair, the most important thing for you to remember is that you're trying to sell yourself to these potential employers. And by sell yourself, I mean you're trying to convince them you're the person for them to employ. So how are you going to do that? It's very uncomfortable for most people to sell themselves. You're taught at a young age to be modest and not boastful, and especially for actuaries, I think most actuaries, we're not salespeople. We're not really good at selling ourselves a lot of times. So you've got to kind of go out of your comfort zone and sell yourselves. And how are you going to sell yourself to that employer? How are you going to convince that employer you want to hire me? Well, the first thing is going to be your resume. So what are employers looking for on your resume? Employers are looking for, when they hire candidates and students, can they become actuaries someday? So do I think you have the potential to pass exams? So they're going to look at your resume and have you either taken exams or are you on a pathway to take exams? Because employers invest a lot in those credentials. They want to make sure you're going to be successful passing exams. They're going to be looking for technical skills. Most employers are looking for some sort of Microsoft Office or similar skills, Excel, and then some sort of programming language, R or Python, those kind of things. So the employers are looking for that. The third thing you're going to be looking for is communication skills. So if you, in the room you're in today, this conference, most of the folks here probably can pass exams. Most of them probably have some pretty good technical skills. What's going to differentiate you from all the other folks at this conference are your communication skills. That's what I usually see. That's what really differentiates for me when I'm someone I hire. The employer is thinking, if I hire this candidate in a year or two after I've got them trained and comfortable with our products, can I put them in a room with my boss or non-actuaries? And I believe that this person can communicate technical actuarial expertise to a non-actuarial audience. And for me personally, that's what really differentiates a candidate from another candidate, is making sure that they have really good communication skills. So practice before you go to the conference, your communication skills. Practice being confident. That's what's going to really differentiate you. And while you're at the conference, make sure you stop by the CAS booth. We have lots of tools to help you really grow and develop your actual career. So stop by and see us at the CAS. If you want to practice your interview skills, practice with us. Come see us and you can practice. So look forward to seeing you in Niagara Falls.
Okay, so next I want to say that organization is key. If you really want to make the most of this event, you need to know who you talked to, what you talked about, which company they're from, what you need to follow up with them about, and any other details from the conference. Because even though it would be ideal if you could remember all these different conversations that you're going to have and who you talked to and all the details about it, unfortunately, that's not going to happen. So you need to create what I call a master networking sheet. And I am going to have an example of this right down below, hopefully, if I get enough time to create one before this video goes out. So this is going to be a Google Sheet, so it's really easy for you to access during the event. And you want to have several columns, probably the company names, and maybe bold the ones that are on your Dream 10 list, so you know those are high priority. You want to have the name of the rep that you talked to or the actuary that you talked to. You want to have the roles that you might have discussed during the career fair. Make any notes, so you'll have a notes column, a follow-up column, so you know what you need to follow up with them about. And you're also just going to want to have a column whether you would like to work there or not. When you talk to these different companies, for some of them you're going to get vibes of like, I don't really know if this company is really one that I want to work for. And other ones are really going to excite you. You're going to like the opportunities that they're presenting. And maybe when you talk to different actuaries, you really feel like you'd fit in with the culture there. And those ones you want to remember. So put a check mark in that column for those ones. Okay, so while you are at the event, you are going to want to talk to as many of the company reps as you possibly can. But you are going to prioritize those on your Dream 10 list. Remember, those are the ones that are most important to you, they are the ones that you want to put the most energy and focus into. So if you can, go to those booths first so you are most guaranteed or most likely to actually get to talk to someone there. But that doesn't mean that you ignore all the other ones. You still want to go to those because who knows, you may find a new company that you really want to work for. And also, this is just adding more and more people to your network. You never really know who may potentially be able to help you get a job down the road, or maybe you will end up wanting to work for one of these companies. Don't neglect them. By the way, if you have found this video helpful so far, could you please give it a big thumbs up to let me know, and so that it triggers that YouTube algorithm to show it to more people? I would appreciate that so much. And if you are planning to look for an actuarial job in 2025, make sure you subscribe to the channel too, because all I release on this channel is actuarial advice and insight so that you can get an actuarial job as soon as possible. Okay, so now when you go to these company reps and you're talking with them, what kind of questions do you ask? Well, there are really 3 questions that I really want you to ask. The first question is, what are they looking for in actuarial candidates for their entry-level jobs and internships? Because when they answer this question, you are going to get a sense of what they are looking for. And that gives you talking points because you're going to be able to reiterate how you're able to fill those different qualifications. So if they say they are looking for someone that is really good with communication skills, maybe there's something that you can do to demonstrate your communication skills or talk about how you've really been working on them. Maybe they want someone with great technical skills. You could, if you are a member of the AAC, talk about how you've done some Excel projects, actuarial projects on IBNRs or climate change, whatever it may be, whatever projects you did, and that will help you prove to employers in a very short amount of time that you have these qualifications. Next, even before you go, actually, maybe I should have included this in the previous part about before the job fair, but I want you to think about, what do you need from a company in order to make you want to work there or make you feel like it's a good fit for you? Because those are also questions that you need to ask the employer. If you know what you need from a company, you can ask those questions. These career fairs are not all about you trying to prove yourself to employers. Those employers also have to prove to you that this should be a company that you want to work for and why. So don't leave that part out. This is important from your standpoint as well. The third question is, how can I connect with you after this career fair? Because if you aren't able to connect with all these people that you're talking to, it's really going to waste a lot of your time. You're making great connections here, and if you can't stay in touch with them, you're missing out on the long-term benefits that could come from them down the road. So make sure you ask that. Here's my real question. What do I have to do to get you to hire me, pay me, give me exam bonuses, and give me unlimited vacation? Okay, so I do have a couple things that you still need to do during the career fair, but after is really one of the most important parts. So I am going to get to that after these 2 next things. So first is that I want you to attend any events that are offered by your Dream 10 companies. Remember, your Dream 10 companies allows you to have a focus area. So you don't need to attend all the events, but if you know that your companies on your Dream 10 list are maybe doing special events, like for example at ASNA, some of them might be hosting coffee chats, some of them might be hosting different sessions. So attend those events so that you have more talking points with these companies. And by the way, you might be realizing now how important that Dream 10 list is. If you are a member of the AAC, go to the intermediate phase, because that's where I explain exactly how you can create your own list and work on building connections towards getting a job in one of those companies. Okay, and so lastly, for during the career fair, I want you to make sure that you are documenting your conversations. Use that master networking list to make sure that you're documenting all the conversations you have so that you know what you need to do for follow-up afterwards. And that leads me to afterwards. So do not wait until an employer contacts you in order to connect with them. Some employers might say that they'll reach out to you. Do not wait for that. You need to take initiative. So when you're connecting with these employers, you're going to connect with them ideally on LinkedIn if you can, and also through email if they were able to give you that information so that you could follow up with them. Now, if you're going to connect with LinkedIn, which I think you should for anyone that you meet at the career fair, even if they're not recruiters or actuaries, even other aspiring actuaries or future actuaries, connect with them on LinkedIn. But anyway, when you do connect with employers on LinkedIn, make sure you're sending a short connection note. So when you connect with them, there's an option to put a little note with your connection request, and make sure that is something that will help them identify who you are and the conversation that you had. Remember, they are going to be talking to hundreds of students, probably, and you want to make sure that they remember specifically who you are. Now, once you do get actually connected, they accept your request, or through email, you're also going to reiterate the conversation that you had with them. You're certainly going to thank them for their time and for talking with you at the career fair. And you also want to reiterate your qualifications and attach your resume. As much as possible, you want to be continually putting those qualifications in front of them so that they don't forget how great of a candidate you are. And even if they already have your resume, it does not hurt to attach it again, just in case they don't have the paper version that you gave them, or just in case they forget what it is. Make it easy for them to see your resume. At the end of any email that you send them, make sure you include your contact information and your full name. Now, during this, you might be tempted because there are many employers that you will probably be reaching out to. Do not use ChatGPT, okay? I know it's tempting and I know it's a great resource. You can use it to come up with some ideas for how to word these things, but do not copy it word for word because it is just too obvious. It's going to make you match everyone else that's sending these emails. You're likely going to be one of the few, but anyone else that sends them is highly likely going to use ChatGPT, so make yourself different. Make this a unique, personalized email just to them. And use your own words, your own language. That is what is going to help you make a more personal connection with these people. Oh, sure, just let me quit my job so that I can dedicate my life to crafting the perfect emails for every single recruiter I meet. And like I said, you are going to make lots of connections during this event. So prioritize your Dream 10 list. If nothing else, if you don't have the time, the bandwidth, the energy to email personally all these employers, focus on the Dream 10 list. They're your priority. Okay, so I've already shared a ton with you in this video, but if you want even more chances to succeed at your actuarial career fair, or if you just want to know how to get an actuarial job in general, well, you've got to go watch this video next where I talk about the hiring trends that I have seen in the actuarial world, specifically for internships and entry-level positions, based on the insights that I've learned from actuarial employers and other sources. So that link is right down below in the description. Go watch it next. Okay, so thank you to those of you that have stayed to the end. Now it's a little time for my personal update. In a few videos back, maybe it was actually the most recent long form video that I did, I mentioned that I was going to be revamping my whole bookkeeping system for the stepping stone position, I guess you could call it, that I currently work in. So this is just my dad's welding business, but it was one of my original stepping stone positions. Anyway, I've been working as a bookkeeper for this company for 15, 20 years, and I've finally been able to take the time to revamp the whole system and make it so much quicker. Quarter end usually took me 5 to 10 hours, and now with the holidays, I had some time to put effort towards making this a lot quicker. So what I was able to do is I was able to use Excel to create input files that I could input into our accounting system, which is called Sage, and then it takes all those transactions and automatically loads them all in. Whereas previously I had to manually input them all into this accounting software. I will show you what it looks like briefly, but I just want to say that this whole project took a lot less time than I actually thought it was going to take. It probably took about 10 hours. I should have timed myself, but I didn't. So 10 hours dedicated towards a process that usually takes me 5 to 10 hours 4 times a year. So basically takes me 20 to 40 hours every single year. I was able to condense it in just 10 hours. Now it's probably only going to take 1 hour, maximum 2 per quarter. So 4 to 8 hours per year. And I'm pretty happy about that. That is going to save me a ton of time that I can now dedicate to other things for this YouTube channel, Actuarial, our Actuary Accelerator community members, and all that sort of stuff. So super excited about that. I'll insert a clip of some of the details now so you can just kind of see what I was up to. Okay, so essentially what I've done here is I've created this space where I'll put all of the different companies that we've created invoices for, and then in the invoice receivable output, what it does is it automatically creates this file. Basically, it's all a whole bunch of formulas, as you can see up here.
So there's going to be a whole bunch of formulas that create the entries that will be eventually input, and I'll show you how that's done as well. So it goes down all the way to create separate lines or sections for each of the different invoices that we've created throughout the quarter. And then for invoices payable, so basically these are all the invoices that I actually have to pay, so our bills. We'll have the renting bills for the shop that we rent, and then all the different vendors that we pay invoices to. So I just have to input the information here into the yellow box, and it automatically formats things how we need it. And then in this invoice payable output tab, it again has separate sections for each of the different payments that I've made throughout the quarter. So it's going to output things in exactly the right way that I can input it into Sage later. There's also one for our general journal entries. So things like our insurance, our bank charges, any withdrawals or deposits that come into or actually it would just be withdrawals and transfers out of the account. So it automatically creates these journal entries. And then Sage is something like this. So basically what we are able to do is go to File and we'll go to Import Transactions. And then I'm going to be able to import the journal entries that I showed you and also import purchase invoices. So when I import these, I need them to be in a text file. So what I'll be able to do is just output these specific pages, the output pages, as text files, and then I'll be able to import it into Sage and it will automatically be able to read everything. So previously I had to do a whole bunch of input of all this information plus much more. You'd have to press buttons to move on to the next one and everything. So probably entering each of these in the past would have taken maybe 1 to 2 minutes, depending on the invoice and the complexity of it. But now I'm going to be able to streamline that pretty quickly, especially since I'm going to be tracking all these things as I do them. And then at the end of the quarter, I'll just be able to output these files and import them into Sage, and they'll be done. So I think that's going to be a lot quicker than it was before.
By the way, I also wrote documentation, which is something I have never had for this role before because it's always just been me doing it. But now in 2025, I really want to make sure that I'm being prepared, I'm planning, I'm doing things that will hopefully reduce stress in the future. So now if someone else needs to do this for me, if something happens to me, if someone else needs to take over, if I decide I don't want to do this anymore and I want to pass it along to someone else, well, they have documentation that makes it really easy to move forward. And that's another big part of this automation type of stuff that I did. It now makes it so much more simple to have someone else do this in the case that I can't do it for some reason. All right, so that is all for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.